I have created a 60-second checklist specifically designed for Newcastle-Under-Lyme driving test. I've made this because so many people are failing their driving test for silly mistakes. Make sure you do all of these things before your driving test. Is going to massively increase your chances of passing. Let's go. Okay, so you've got your driving test coming up in Newcastle. What do you need? Well, the first thing you're going to need, of course, is your driving license. You can't go anywhere without it. If I were you, just make sure you get it in your glove box. Nice and simple. It's something you don't have to remember when you walk out the door. You know that anxious feeling when you're walking out, you're like, have I got everything? Get it in the glove box. No worries. Or keep it in your phone case. You're not going to leave anywhere without your phone. What else do you need on the checklist? Well, it is recommended to bring your theory test certificate, but I've never had a single person ask for their theory test certificate. So don't panic if you don't have it. If you've got it handy, great. If not, don't worry about it. What I would advise the night before and the morning before your driving test is to just double check your emails, check spam, check you haven't got anything from the DVSA, because they often move your test last second, okay? And you're gonna be very sad if you turn up and you've paid your instructor, you know, maybe 150 quid, and they've moved your flaming driving test. So double check that in the morning. Of course, if you wear glasses or contacts, make sure you've got those on, because if you can't read the number plate at the beginning of the test, again, it's not gonna go ahead. There is no ifs or buts. Make sure you remember your glasses if you need them. If you want to reduce anxiety and, you know, that horrible feeling of, oh my God, am I gonna make it on time? Get there about 10 minutes before. Try not any earlier, because you're gonna interrupt other people's tests and you're gonna upset people. But about 10 minutes is the sweet spot. If you're 11 minutes, it's not going to matter. Make sure you reverse into a bay. That means when you're driving out, you can drive out nice and smoothly forward, and you're not gonna look like a complete sausage. 10 minutes before is going to give you lots of time to pop to the toilet. Every test centre's got a toilet, and chill out for a few minutes, stretch your legs, maybe open the bonnet, check a few last minute questions if you want to. Okay, car checks. Now these need to be done a couple of weeks before your test really, and again a week before, because you need time to fix them if you haven't ideally. And the first one, of course, is insurance and MOT. Just make sure these are up to date. You don't need anything extra or special for a driving test particularly, but you do need to make sure you've got a learner policy. So if you haven't passed your license, you've got a policy of some form. And as I mentioned today, someone got turned away from the driving test. They turned up to the test centre, spent £62, waited 6 months for a driving test, only for the examiner to say, sorry, sir, see you later. Very sad moment. And a waste, what a complete waste. They got turned away because one of their tyres did not have 1.6 millimeters of tread on the tyre. Yes, that's serious. The examiner will walk around the car before getting in the car, and they will just double check that all the tyres have roughly 1.6 millimeters. They're not gonna measure, but they can tell pretty quickly if the tyre is knackered or not. Very easy way to avoid this, just get a 20p piece, put it inside the tread of one of the wheels, make sure you can't see the rim of the 20p piece. Done. Next, really important one is make sure there's no lights on the dash of the car. To be fair, the main one is the engine lights. You can get away with certain lights on there, but the engine light, you're never gonna get away with that. No one gets away with an engine light. Engine light is bad. If you've got an engine light, you need to get somewhere, check if there's an actual problem or if it just needs switching off. Make sure your windscreen is clean on the inside and out. Obviously, it doesn't have to be spotless, so make sure your car's clean on the inside, and particularly the inside more than the out. The outside doesn't matter so much, but the examiner's gonna have to sit in the car and not go into one thing. Would you want to get into someone's dirty car inside, you know, Coke bottles and just crap everywhere, dog hair everywhere? No. So just give it a quick vacuum. Doesn't have to be spotless, but just acceptable. Of course, you are going to need to make sure you remember that you have to have L plates on the front and back. Now, I haven't really seen anyone refuse from this. Normally, the examiners will have a spare set of number plates. However, if you've got 7 tests turning up and all of the people forget the number plates and they haven't got 7 sets, then guess what? You've lost your money and see you later. You know, it's not acceptable to not have number plates. They just wouldn't take it on test, basically. Now, I'm going to share with you some hotspots on the checklist as well. These are, you need to tick these off. You need to make sure you know these inside and out. So, hotspots of Newcastle. The most important one, in my opinion, is the 5 roundabouts in the centre of Newcastle. These are very challenging roundabouts just because it's very busy. They're all dual carriageways, and all the roundabouts are quite different. So if you can do these, you're pretty good to go in Newcastle or thereabouts. The 5 roundabouts in the centre of Newcastle are a must, particularly Pool Dam roundabout. If you've not seen this roundabout, you need to make sure you know it, particularly from this route that I've shown you here. just continuing left all the way around Newcastle, basically. Because it's 3 lanes, you've got to go to the middle lane. You'll know what I mean when you get there. It's very confusing. Next one is the Stoke one-way system. There's a few giveaway signs that can be a little bit hidden, and honestly, it's just an anxiety-inducing area if you've not been there before for anyone, let alone doing your driving test and not going there for the first time. So make sure you can go around Stoke one-way system a few times, particularly coming from London Road. The next one is 3 Mile Lane in Keele. This is a very popular rural route. It has been there for donkey's years. I'm talking well over 5 years, either one way or the other. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of national speed limits here, but the problem is you have to judge on if it's safe to go national speed limit or if you should be doing closer to 20 or 30. And you don't want to experience that for the first time on your driving test, so highly recommend 3 Mile Lane. The next really popular area, particularly in the last few years, is Woolstanton. Now, there's lots of areas you can go in Woolstanton, but the main thing with Woolstanton is it's quite busy, quite tight roads. So you spending an hour driving around Woolstanton would be really good. Just going in and out of the side roads just gives you a bit of experience about what to expect, and make sure that you're up to scratch with your meeting traffic, which is quite important in this sort of area. And finally, the last big one that is a must-know for Newcastle-Under-Lyme is the A500, particularly focusing on the slip roads, entering and exiting, and basically knowing how to keep up to speed. What is the appropriate speed? All of that jazz. You need to know that. Lots and lots of test routes in Newcastle-Under-Lyme will have the A500 in. Now, if you need more details about any of these, have a look at my driving test package for Newcastle-Under-Lyme. You will find it in the link there or in the description on my website, joshuadrivinginstructor.com. There's a completely free driving test route, the one I was talking about, Keele as well. So have a look on there, get involved. Everything you do towards your driving test is going to boost your confidence, okay? And boosting your confidence is key, because what's the biggest reason people fail a driving test? It is down to confidence. Not that they can't drive, it's because they lose confidence. The second you start saying the word test, everyone thinks, oh my God, and they start losing confidence and doing crazy things. This will help you massively, just because it's going to be the huge confidence boost that you need to pass. The next section on the checklist is all about your mindset and on the day. And the first and most important thing is the night before. Definitely YouTube, definitely do your research, do everything you can, but not the night before. I often get myself into a tiz on the night before everything. I love having new ideas. I'm constantly at it. But I know if I'm still at it at 10 o'clock, researching and doing stuff, I'm not going to sleep till midnight or 1, and I normally go to sleep about 10:30. And I imagine you are quite similar. If you are staring at YouTube or TikTok, looking at driving routes at 10, 11 o'clock at night, the night before your test, you are not going to sleep. And sleep is by far the most important thing. So don't binge watch YouTube the night before your driving test so you can't sleep. That's going to make everything much worse. Now, whenever I take someone for a driving test, I will always give them a 1 hour warm up before the test. Just gives you time to warm up, particularly with your manoeuvres. You don't do those that often, you know, unless you parallel park outside your house every day. You might only do that once a week or something like that. So it's good just to have a warm up of each of the manoeuvres before your driving test, and just give you that confidence boost that yes, I can do them. And whatever happens, remember to breathe. I didn't believe in this mumbo jumbo, okay? But I know if I'm feeling crap, too happy, too sad, too angry, I take a deep breath. I'm on the road all day. You ever heard of road rage? Everyone gets some form of a little bit aggy, and you have to learn to take a deep, long breath. The biggest problem people have is they forget to breathe. Okay, you start getting shallow breaths, and you don't even realize it. You will not realize that you are breathing shallowly. And when that happens, the adrenaline starts kicking in. You go into flight or fight mode, and that's bad when you're driving. So, first thing you do if you start feeling any form of panic or fear or anything is just focus on your breathing. Deep 4-second breaths. And then out for 4 seconds. And focus on that, okay? You don't have to do it really noisy like I just did. You can do it under your breath. No one else has to know. Just think about your breathing. And the other thing, if you're getting these worries inside your head about, oh my God, what's the examiner going to be thinking? Oh, is it a thought or is it a fact? If it's a fact, okay, maybe it deserves a little bit more worry. If it's a thought, I might fail. Is the examiner going to hate me? That's not real, that's in here. And that means what you need to do, take some more deep breaths. And try and remember the examiner is just a human being like you and me. They go home, they eat, sleep, argue with the missus or the mister. walk the dog, and then they go to work. They will talk to you, they will have a laugh, they will be absolutely sound. Now, if I'm honest, I think most of the driving test fails is down to nerves. I mean, obviously you've got to have the skill going into the driving test. If you're not driving test ready, if you're not confident at driving on your own, then yeah, you're at a massive disadvantage. But anyone I take to the driving test is ready for the driving test. You know, so if they fail, why is it normally? It's because of the driving test nerves. It's because they're nervous. You mentioned the word test. You're just sitting with someone different and showing them what you've done repeatedly for the last between 40 and 70 hours. It's exactly the same. Because you mentioned the word test, you build up all this anxiety and nerves and everything else. So everything you can do to boost your self-confidence is going to massively improve your chances. And that is exactly what this test route package here is for. Everything in there is to boost your confidence and increase your chances of passing your test. Now, if you're not sure if it's going to help you, have a look at the review, see if it's helped anyone else out there. Just search Josh the Driving Instructor or have a look on the website. There is a free route on there. It's used every single day from Newcastle-Under-Lyme. If you just want some help, you've got some questions about anything related to the driving test, pop it in the comments in YouTube and I'll be there. Best of luck in your driving test. See you all soon.